Hello, I'm Jack Sheeran, and this is Talking Point. Today we're talking about the EU and Brexit and some of the events and points that have been raised post-referendum result. And I'm going to go through some of these events and points which hopefully inners, outers and undecided voters will be able to connect to. Firstly, anger on social media. Post-referendum result, there was a huge explosion of people talking on Facebook, Twitter and other social media platforms, expressing huge anger at the referendum result that the UK was going to leave the EU. The majority of people who were showing this anger were young people towards that of older, who they believed perhaps to be more pessimistic and statistically higher to vote leave within the referendum itself. Secondly, it's a fact. 18 to 24-year-olds failed to turn out. They didn't even bother to vote. 40% of us went to the polls to vote in the EU referendum, a vote of a lifetime. Well, at least that was what we were led to believe. In reality, the figures are actually much higher. Now, that 40% figure which was thrown around post-referendum was incorrect. In reality, 70%, up to 70% of 18 to 24-year-olds turned out to vote. That was 2.5% lower than the national average. But what's interesting is not the turnout itself, but it's a proportion of that turnout that voted to stay within the European Union. 70% of that 70% voted to stay within the European Union. So the question is, how can the future be bright for a country where its future generations aren't even behind Brexit? Thirdly, there was no clear majority. 4% is not a clear majority. The only thing that 48-52%, the final result, shows is that there are clear divisions within British society over its future within the European Union. Even Boris Johnson accepted that the result was not entirely overwhelming. Lastly, I just want to finish on more of a question. Can we look upon our membership of the European Union, of the 28 member states, and say that we actually led? Did we lead the way when we were a member of that union of states? As the Leave campaign have so well highlighted, the UK is powerful and influential diplomatically, militarily, economically, internationally, and in so many other different ways. So how could such a powerful and influential nation not get the things it wanted within the EU? Now, don't complain it was down to some sort of EU bureaucracy or red tape. At the end of the day, the member state had the final say. Just something to consider.